Today I am very happy to say that we have finished the mega base after 150 hours of work. This is a project that has taken me several months to complete, but if you missed part 1 where I made this, then I'll leave it in the description below or as well as the top right of your screen. Now, to give you an idea for how I designed this behemoth of a structure, I will show you some sketches that I made to give me some idea of what I was going for. I am a man who enjoys the arts. Music, animation, storytelling, sketching, doesn't really matter, I enjoy it all. And as someone who fancies himself as somewhat of an artist, I am proud to present the sketch that inspired this entire base design. Okay, to be fair, that was drawn a few years ago, which was before I started to learn how to draw, but that was enough for me to get started. Notice how the part that I drew has already been built? Yeah, we're kind of just winging it out here. Nothing makes you feel more prepared for something than going into it almost completely blind. I may be stupidly optimistic, but I have a vision. But starting off strong, we have to give our buddy Liam some friends because his new home kind of looks a little bit lonely. Well, now it just looks too crowded. But that's a problem for another day, or really for Liam to solve. The idea that I imagine for around the pillars are giant circles that gradually get lower and lower with each layer, kind of like staircases. Luckily, there's a mod called Mini HUD where you can just render these giant shapes of any size really and just follow them like a template just to make sure everything lines up properly. Well, we got some good news and bad news. Good news is that didn't take too long, and the bad news is we're gonna need more stone blocks. Like a lot more stone. Just gotta grab some shulker boxes and head back to the first base where the cobblestone generator is at. Now I'm gonna lower each of the rings down to the floor so we can drain all the water out of them. Good time to go ahead and place down some conduits. I don't actually remember the last time that I used one of these, maybe for the ocean monument, but they do come in handy. And as per usual, I underestimated how much stone it was going to take to build these size, so again, I kind of need to go get more cobblestone. Running the machine for like 10 minutes actually gave me quite a lot, so I think this should be good enough to at least take care of the rest of what we need. Now at this point, I thought I would need to get rid of all the plant life on the ocean floor because placing sand on it would break the sand block, right? This, on the other hand, is when I learned that the grass itself doesn't do that. So I lost about 30 minutes of my time doing this, but you know, we learn something new every day, and today I learned I still don't know anything about this game. Next we go into clearing out the land that's overlapping the rings, as well as these weird structures underwater. What is this thing's name? Does this even have a name? What is this? Now comes the fun part of getting a gigaton of sand to help me get rid of all this water, but I'm also gonna need sponges, and I thought I had more than this, but I guess that's fine. You can dry out sponges by placing them in the nether, but I have a fast furnace system, so I think this actually should be fine. Not fine. I definitely put more than 60 in there. That's not good. Ah, it's out of fuel, which is a big no-no with this particular kind of super smelter. Alright, give me a minute, I can fix this. Okay, moving on from that, let's remove the conduit so we can start placing sand. If I remember right from my ocean monument, I can make a little machine using a piston to help me place sand much easier. Hey, there we go. We can just sit here and hold it down and it will do the hard part for us. Well, this definitely isn't as efficient as I thought it was going to be, so I might go back to doing the checkerboard pattern like I did at the ocean monument. I actually wanted to go get more sponges and I killed all the Elder Guardians and I found this sponge room, so let's just grab some milk. Well, that's incredibly unfortunate. So I did this time lapse over the course of about an hour and a half, so instead of showing the entire process, I'm just kind of going to compare stats before and after while draining the water. As I start, I have about 51,000 sand placed and about 12,000 sponges placed. Also, we are on day 3,256, so now let's just see how long this is going to take. Oh, and real quick, this is just a screenshot of the pattern that I'm using to drain the water, for those that are wondering.
One eternity later.
Wow, I feel like it has been so long, but I finally finished it. Well, the water's done, not the base, but let's compare stats. We started today 3,256, and it took 298 Minecraft days to finish, leaving us at day 3,554. Now for sand, we started with 51,156 placed, and at the end we have 222,459, which means we placed about 171,000 blocks of sand for this. Now that might seem kinda crazy, but we still have a lot of work to do, but this is definitely a good milestone to cross. Next on the agenda, we have a lot of digging to do. So let's set up some auto sorters in storage somewhere so we can kind of store all the blocks up that we dig. Let's just shove it in one of these pillars. This one should work. Sweet, now we can just throw all the shulker boxes in this and it'll do all the work for us. Now to start the giant mining session that we had to do, I actually did a live stream where I marked a section that I wanted to start, I did some digging, and I made some lava sponges that I got from this data pack that I'll actually be using quite a lot later in the future. I actually stream here on YouTube, so hit the sub button if you want to know when we go live next and join me. Now I'm only doing 1/4 of the build at this moment, just so I can kind of get the idea of what I'm looking for and looking at first. I don't want to just clear everything and build something and not really like the idea anymore. But I do mark where each ring is going to be with netherrack, so that way I don't kind of lose where they're going to be while I'm digging up this amount of space. There we go, all marked and ready to go. Now we just got to clear out some land, so let's do it. I wanted to take a moment here to show you guys what happened while recording one of these time lapses. I always seem to die in the strangest ways, so here I am digging. I fall through this little crack here, and when I go to fly out, I slam my face in the side of one of these like amethyst crystal looking things that poke out of the geode. Yeah, and it killed me. Nicely done. Okay, now that the bulk of the digging is done, we need to flatten out the terrain a bit so I can kind of have a blank canvas to know what I'm working with. Here we go, now the shape is really starting to come together. Now for the block palette, I think I'm going to basically stick to what we use for the pillars so that way it matches. Which means we're going to need deep slate tiles, light gray, light blue, and regular blue concrete, and probably white concrete as well, yeah. And white concrete powder, of course. And I think diorite as well, maybe. We didn't use diorite for the pillars, but I feel like it will give the rings more texture and probably would make it look a little bit better than just having plain white concrete. I don't want this to look like an Apple store. Luckily, we have this mod to help us place blocks randomly because random and asymmetrical are not really my strong suit. I think having a deep slate border will also look really good with the white part of the rings so that they can just kind of pop out. It's such a strong contrast. Now for this big open space in the middle, I kind of want to mimic the diamond and circle shapes that are from the pillars, but put them over here and make them the same color as well, probably. Yeah, the blue looks really good too. Then I think it will just continue this sort of same pattern all the way around. Let's go ahead and put a little middle line here so we know where the symmetry should fall and reflect one side to the other. Okay, that's the general idea of what we're going to be going for, so let's put some blues in here and see if that looks okay. Alright, I like where this is going so far. I think we can go ahead and place all the floor out with our white textured pattern now and see if that looks good all together. Yeah, I like it. I do think it needs something in between each of the shapes, like something small. We could do something like this for right now as like a placeholder, but I do think that something needs to be here to fill this little empty space. Turns out I forgot to hit the record button, but I started placing glass on the white area to kind of give it a bit of depth, and I tried normal glass and even black glass, but I'm not sure that I even like the effect of either. It did, however, give me the idea to put blue glass over these shapes, and I think that actually could look good. Okay, I do like the blue glass, but the glass on the white part, I don't think I really like. The regular glass shows kind of a hard line on the edge, and the black glass makes the white look more gray, and I think that changes the design too much, so yeah, we need to change the plans. If we take the glass away, I think these shapes need to be lowered to the ground because they stick out too much while walking on the rings. Definitely better, but we need to lower it one more layer and then put glass over it. I forgot about the glass. Perfect. Now for this little middle spot, I think we're just gonna kind of make a lantern with like maybe warped wood trapdoors and sea lanterns to match the colors. Now let's just lower the rest of the shapes in here and see what we think about it. Yep, I think this is what we're gonna do. And now just mimic that onto the other side and we can move to another section. I went ahead and started working on the design of the wall as well, and I think I found a cool design for it using some deep slate blocks, walls, stairs, slabs, and sea lanterns in the middle covered by a trap door and then a soul lantern onto that as well. I actually think it turned out pretty good. I actually like it better than I thought it would. Nice. Now, of course, we need to do the next layer, which will probably be a very similar pattern with the kind of shapes as we did before. Gotta fill in all these holes, because if we don't, we're using concrete powder, so it's just gonna fall right through. Same as before, let's put down some random blocks for texture. And now that we have a circle down for the middle, we just gotta put the first shape down on each side so we see how much room we have. Okay, just working on spacing here, and I think we can fit a few of them, but definitely not as many as up top. Okay, that works. Let's do it on the other side and then fill them with their colors. I think we should actually swap the colors, so the dark blue on one ring is the light blue on the other, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. Now onto the walls, same design as the other ring of course, but I gotta say the more that I add to this freaking thing, the more excited I am to see it finished. The middle part looks a little bit weird due to spacing, but I think I'm fine with it. But look at this thing, it is coming together quite nicely. Probably need to add a sea lantern and trapdoor combo to each side of the ring to make it brighter, but man, this thing is looking cool. But first, you know the drill. Gotta tear down this wall up top, place the gray concrete, attach the top of the pillars, and place down the lighting. I actually have to go back and put a block layer down on this one because once again, the concrete powder will just fall right through it, unfortunately. Place the floor down, place more lighting down, and then finish the pillars. Boom, another layer is done. I do want to do something different up top than just the normal shape that we've been doing, but I think I'll wait to do that until a little bit later so I can kind of decide for sure. Here's the moment that we all knew was coming, which was digging all this thing out. I tried experimenting with TMT, but I deemed it not really worth the time to set up, so I figured I would just kind of mindlessly dig away all this land by hand, and here was my genuine reaction when I finished it on stream. And there we go. It is done. Oh, it is finally done. We are ready to start building. The first thing I want to do is fill in all the gray concrete walls, but of course we ran out, so I'm getting more of that as well as white concrete because I know we're going to need a ton of white concrete later. Look, I've adopted a lazier method for placing the concrete, don't judge me. Next, we're going to do the deep slate borders. I don't even know why I like dark borders or like dark bold outlines. Even in my personal art, I just find things that have like a really sticker-like quality with dark outlines make them look a little bit cleaner for some reason to me. I don't know. We're also going to need a ton of sea lanterns. Of course I'm out. Why would I think otherwise? But that's alright, I took a ton of time building this thing, so I need to use it. Now onwards to another build of mine, my last big project, the Slime City. Putting the concrete converting machine here was actually a pretty good idea because I love seeing this place. Okay, we have everything organized and the barrels have shulker boxes in them with more stuff. I'm worried about having enough, but let's go as far as we can, I guess. Let's just go ahead and start with the deep slate border. That's a good foundation. Next are the tops of each of these ring walls, making sure that they all line up properly. The beauty of symmetry is that you get to do the same design over and over, but the downside is if you mess up one block and you don't notice it until later, you can cause a ton of wasted work. I've done that. So just to make sure we're doing it right, we place this stair block as like a marker to make sure that they're all placed properly and lined up. And now that they're lined up, we can actually do the top portion of it. I'm actually gonna go ahead and place the sea lanterns down and hopefully keep some of these mobs from spawning when it gets darker. Yeah, except for these dudes, holy fuck! Okay, trapdoors are done for the top, now we're good. Now getting these shapes placed the first time in the right spot wasn't that bad because I was doing it for the first time and trying to just figure out what looked best, but now I have to copy that same distance and design across each of the layers. Well, one section is done, so surely the rest will be pretty easy, yeah? Let's go ahead and get on that. That only took a little over an hour and like 3 shulker boxes, which isn't that bad. But now we gotta add the little light stands between each shape because otherwise it would still be a little bit too dark to prevent mobs from spawning. Now we just gotta add colors to the shapes. I'm a big fan of the blue, black, and white color combination, but I think I would like to add another color just for the outer layer, but I'll decide on that in a second. Not only did I go ahead and fill the shapes with their colors, but I also went ahead and put in the white floor down for the second layer just to see how it would all come together. And I gotta tell ya, it's coming together quite nicely. It's still a little bit weird with the other layers being bare, but man, I am liking how this thing looks. Okay, I've decided what I want to do for the outer ring. I actually want to use these amethyst blocks because I love the color of them, and I'm not actually going to do the basic same shapes as the other layers. For those who don't know, I am a pretty big fan of mythology. Greek, Roman, Norse, any of that kind of stuff. And so for this outer ring, I actually want to try to do the Norse runes as this big circle and make it feel more like a ritual site to keep this big demonic entity in the middle sealed. This is my first attempt at it, and this is what I was going for, so I think we're on the right track, and I actually like the new color being added more than I thought I would. The shapes of these are definitely kind of weird, and I put the end two pieces down, and now I just guess I need to find the middle one so I can kind of evenly space the other ones between them. Okay, good news is it looks like it's been placed correctly on the ring. Bad news is somehow I didn't even notice that it should be one block lower. My bad. Making some pretty good progress, just kind of making sure that everything is lined up properly before continuing. Each rune is different, so the spacing is a little more difficult to get to look even, but I think we can go ahead and move forward. All the runes are in place. Now you notice how one is pink instead of purple? The rune looks similar to the breast cancer awareness symbol, and my mother is unfortunately battling with stage 3 breast cancer as we speak, so this is kind of an homage to her, if you will. We should have enough blocks to fill in the rest of these rings, so we should probably just go ahead and tackle that next. Notice between each rune there's a little dot. I want to build something there, kind of like a small pillar maybe that's holding like a gemstone for light, kind of like the other layers, but something a little bit bigger. Okay, this is the first one. Not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest fan of it. Let's try a different one. I mean, I like it more than the other one, so I guess let's try replacing it with this. I might honestly just think about it and revisit this spot because I am just not feeling it. Now for the bottom ring, I had this idea to make it into a clock to kind of signify freezing time with this spell to keep the creature in the middle at bay. This is what I'm attempting to make, and I'll tell you right now, this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. The middle spots are pretty easy. Those look pretty good so far. Let's see if I can make an eye for the one spot real quick. Okay, that looks all kind of crooked. After way too long, I got the 1 and 2 to kind of look like they were lined up facing the center of the circle, so we can just kind of thicken them up and move to the next numbers. Let me tell you something. Between the V's and the X's in this clock, I almost went insane trying to line them up to make them look decent. Like, look at this. What is this? I've tried so many times on and off stream to do this, and I don't know why, it's just not clicking. But after all of that, this is what we settled on. And I wasn't the most happy with it. But then I had an idea. What if we put circles on the top and the bottom, just kind of barely touching each of the letters as it goes around the circle? That might actually help. I got the top part done, and I immediately knew that this was the right choice, so I copied it to the bottom, and I can't tell you how much better I think this looks. Now, of course, just gotta add some lights to the bottom layer because otherwise mobs can spawn. And to hide some of the lighting, I'll use wool carpets because it's actually almost unnoticeable from a distance, which works out great. Alright, I've made my decision. We're tearing these things down. I tried changing them and asking my Discord some tips, and maybe we could kind of like settle on something, but I think it's just best to leave the top blank. Now we just gotta finish up each layer's wall section. First we gotta do the pillar part up top for each layer, and then we can go around and connect them afterwards. We should have enough supplies to do all this, so let's just knock it out. Now now all we really need to do is add finishing touches to this thing by connecting each of the little wall sections together. Just gotta grab some stairs, some slabs, lanterns, of course some scaffolding to help maneuver, but no further delays, let's get this thing finished. And here it is, this giant behemoth of a base in all its glory. I almost didn't know what to say or how to feel when I got it done. Like, I've been working on this thing for a few months, and to see it finished is kind of incredible. And I gotta say, I have had so much fun bringing this thing to life, watching it evolve over time. It's been one of my favorite things that I've ever done in Minecraft. And you guys are part of that reason. Genuinely made it a more enjoyable experience. Not only keeping me company, but joking around, giving me feedback, all of that. It's been a lot of fun. The earliest day count for the project that I can remember was 3,256, and we finished at 4,111, which means it took about 855 Minecraft days roughly, and assuming that I slept for most of them, which is probably true, that's still between 143 and 150 hours for this base. And of course, now we can do the comment of the day, which we used from our last video, and my last video actually kind of blew up way more than I expected, and I really appreciate all those who subscribed on the channel since then. Given how many comments were on the last video, I had a lot to choose from, and I replied to most of them, but the one that stuck out the most and got my attention the most was one from Max Inestable. Hopefully I'm saying that right, but he said, "The only way to play Minecraft wrong is if you're not enjoying it." And oh my god, truer words have never been spoken. Now, if you want to become one of the statues that are around in my world, just feel free to pop in when I'm streaming or leave a comment down below and we can make that happen for you. Feel free to join the Discord down in the description below if you want to chat with a couple of cool peeps about Minecraft or, whatever else. Of course, leave a sub to show some love, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace!